So, Michael, do you want to just introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about where you're from and a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I am Michael Wilson. I am sort of a one-person design studio out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and recently was transitioning from doing a lot of magazine work to focusing on the food and beverage industry, and specifically the non-alcoholic beverage industry, doing branding and design strategy, and some marketing for emerging brands in that space.
Fantastic, amazing. And how did you feel before we worked together when we first met?
Well, I had done pretty much no outreach for my business whatsoever. I had picked up a lot of magazine work because that's where I came from. I came from the publishing world and have been wanting to get out of that or expand my business for a number of years, and um, wasn't really getting anywhere and wasn't moving in any direction whatsoever because I wasn't doing anything. I've been asking around to friends in the industry and try to find people who are like in the brewing industry and stuff like that. Um, and just had a couple of nibbles on stuff, and it took a long time. I kind of landed about 4 projects over 5 years that were really in the space I wanted to be in,
hmm
and just didn't feel like I was getting anywhere. So I felt like I was building up a book of work and I was going to start promoting it, but I was doing really nothing on social media, nothing on LinkedIn, no email marketing.
Mm,
Uh, it's pretty much an unknown, and no one knew what I was and what I was doing. So
yeah,
yeah, very frustrating.
yeah, I can imagine. So, obviously you were still doing well, like you still had work, which is great, but you just wanted to have like new clients, didn't you? I guess new people coming through, and you wanted to do something, yeah, other types of work that you were excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So how did it affect everything that at the time? Like, were you just getting a bit kind of, did you feel a bit stagnant in what you were doing, or what was it, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was just feeling like my business wasn't growing. There's taking on more magazine work wasn't the way forward, primarily. Um,
Mm,
it's just time consuming and not exactly what I wanted to be doing. So I felt like I had this direction I've been wanting to go for years. I have the knowledge and something to give to that space, and I just had no way of actually proving it. I had no clients to work with to prove what I knew how to do.
yeah.
Um, so just felt like I was spinning my wheels, like wishing to God that somebody like I would find more stuff because I land one brewing client, like, okay, all of a sudden I'm gonna have all these breweries, but that's not exact that's not how it works at all. Um, like word of mouth is very powerful, but it's also kind of slow.
Mm,
So it just wasn't a viable way forward. It just wasn't reliable. It wasn't predictable. Um, and I was saying, because of that, I was like taking kind of anything that would come my way that was even close to the food and beverage industry, um, even if it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, just because I wanted to be in that world so badly.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. I
so
mean, you got some great work because I think that's how I noticed you to start with. I saw some of your work and I was like, oh, this is someone I need to talk to. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
so I always felt confident about what I could do,
mm,
but how to apply all of that design work from like magazines to a new industry, that was always the biggest leap for me. It's like you
yeah.
start to become known as one thing. I sort of was pigeonholed as like the magazine guy. And like in publishing, I've been working for 15 years. I knew lots of people. People knew who I was.
Mm,
So word of mouth and stuff coming my way that way was fine. But how do I tell or find food and beverage clients that are about to launch and don't know me from, about, a bar of soap? I They just didn't know what I could do or how what I know from magazines would apply to their business. There was a huge gap there.
yeah.
And that
Okay.
was really, really frustrating.
Yes, and like knowing how to reach those people, how to approach them, how to communicate really well with them,
Mhm.
without being seen as a bother and that kind of thing. A lot of people worry about that, don't they?
Yeah, I didn't want to be all pushy and salesy. That's
Mm,
not really my way. No, I said I didn't want to. I wanted to be eager, but not like overly excitable about it, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So what happened when you joined the program? Um, if you just tell everyone sort of from your perspective, yeah, what happened? Were there like any exciting moments that you can remember? Like what were the best bits for you?
Um, well, it forced me to do things I knew I needed to do, but I would have never done on my own. Particularly a lot of the market research stuff and really understanding um, who my ideal client was. I tell my clients to do this, but I wasn't doing it for myself. It's one of those like it felt like a doctor who's outside the hospital smoking.
Yeah,
It's like you know what's good for you, but you don't do it.
yeah,
Um, and I also just wasn't being specific enough. Like saying like I do like branding for the food and beverage industry is too vague. So force you like working in the program forced me to like hyper focus on a very, very narrow niche.
mm,
Um, which was like going from food and beverage to non-alcoholic beverages for a number of reasons. I have a lot of personal reasons I wanted to do that.
yeah,
It kind of fit with my personal lifestyle. But
mm,
that was really enlightening because once I started doing that, then I could really understand who those people were and connecting with them a lot easier.
mhm.
Um, so once I made that move and kind of adjusted how my whole profile and everything looks, I immediately started feeling more confident talking to those people and being kind of open about like, hey, I'm new in this space and I want to learn and I'm like trying to figure this out and like, can I ask you questions? And then you just start gathering information and knowledge. And over the time working together, I've gathered like so much stuff that I feel much more like an expert in this field, or at least how my personal skill set applies to them,
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
which was always the issue. And so that was solved, and that felt really good. And then, yeah, I mean, I was able to close like when in towards the end of the program, I closed like my first new non-alcoholic beverage client. I've had way more conversations and incoming calls than I've ever had in 5 years working together. Um,
brilliant.
you
I mean,
know, uh,
mhm.
yeah, so it's just been and then closing that first client and then even like on subsequent calls with more clients like realizing, oh, I actually need to up my rates and here's why, and having a really good understanding of what my offer is and what I'm doing for people and the value of it, what I need to charge in order to make it all happen. The
Yeah,
confidence that I got doing that, I think I quadrupled how much I was offering my services for,
yeah,
um,
that's great.
without feeling worried about it and feeling confident about it. So that's a huge improvement.
Yeah, well done. You definitely improved massively with your calls from what you told me on the feedback sessions. Yeah, amazing. Well done. Because it is scary at first. I think a lot of people, a lot of creatives don't really like sales, and they don't really see it as sales because they don't know how to do it in the right way. They just think, oh, I just need to have a chat with this person, but and they kind of avoid sales like the plague. But you were
Yeah.
very brave, and yeah. I do you still feel that you were quite authentic, and you didn't feel, or did you feel pushy? How did you feel?
No, I feel like the more I learned about the founders and CEOs that I was talking to,
Mm,
the more I understood their problems, the more I understood what I was doing was valuable. So the confidence grew just organically out of that. So it didn't feel pushy. It just felt like, hey, I know this is going to work for you. I'm really confident that what I do is going to help you and that I'm really interested in your success.
yeah.
And
Well done.
so no, it didn't feel pushy. It just felt like I was being helpful
Good. Yeah,
and
that's
supportive.
great. Yeah, that's great. So, and what would you say are the key things then that you got from the whole thing? What would be the key things that you would say were the most helpful?
Finding that niche, finding that very specific ideal client base that's
Mm,
an inch wide that you can go a mile deep with
yeah.
is by far the best thing that I got out of this. Just committing to it, finally committing to it and going for it.
Mm,
Um, People have no mistake about what I do now. None. Like I've got other designers that I've known for years are like, hey, I see you're like focusing on non-alcoholic beverages and branding for them. That's really cool. Like no one has there's no ambiguity about what I do now.
yeah.
So my if that's the case, then people know me for that now.
Mm,
And being able to define that was really important. Cleaning up my offer in a way that made sense and making it more robust and helpful so I can really offer something of true value that's not just, hey, I'll make your labels look great. It's much bigger than that now. It's significantly bigger than that. and and it's actually much more exciting for me. So I find like much more um, energy in my business just because I like it more.
Great.
Um, yeah, the sales call stuff is critical. I've never been totally afraid of sales. Like I feel pretty confident in that, but having a much more structured approach to it makes it more effective.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
I feel confident talking to people about what I do and how it'll help them, but having a very structured way of getting them to say yes is it's completely different than how I've ever approached it before. So that's hugely valuable.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. I'm glad to hear. And it is like everything else, you are just going to keep improving that side of things. There's always something to learn. So
Mhm.
yeah, keep practicing. But yeah, and it does get more enjoyable. I think sometimes when you first start, because it's new, you might feel a bit nervous or uncomfortable. The more you do it, the more you enjoy it because you just love having these conversations where you're really helping people. And that's the way I feel
Yeah.
about it anyway. Do you feel like that?
Yeah, it feels like I find people who fit my services and my services fit with them. So I'm not
Mm,
barking up the wrong tree. So anybody I'm actually talking to is already
mm.
interested, like they're primed and ready to go.
Yeah.
And once I kind of peel back the onion and they see what it all is all about and what I'm offering, you can see them get excited and their eyes light up. And um, then you just know like, hey, I've got a good client here. The other thing that's really been really valuable about this too is I've said no to a bunch of stuff because it doesn't fit my offer and it doesn't fit what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I'm not wasting time doing work that I don't want to do. And
Mm.
I've done that a lot in the past. And any designer will know you'll like take a logo job for like $500. It'll take up all of your time and it's not worth any of the money.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's
such a
just
big
not worth it.
mistake. Yeah,
Yeah.
so many people do that, and I get, conversations every day having I'm having conversations like that with people that say to me, but I just don't want to turn it down. And I'm like, yeah, but what about the time you're wasting? They just don't
Yeah.
realize. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so important.
That's been a huge change in my approach to stuff. I've had lots
Mm,
of people come to me within the industry I want to work with, but aren't the projects that I want within that industry. So I'm just like, I'm sorry, I can't help you. I'll recommend somebody, but that's not what I'm looking for.
yeah,
Um, and that leaves me open to much bigger projects that are much more fulfilling and will give me more of the work I want. So it's helped me be very selective and yeah, then I'm not burning time doing stuff I don't want to do.
yeah, great, absolutely. And you're in the business that you're in because you enjoy doing it and you love helping people, and you've got to focus on what you know you're best at and what you know helps people the most.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, time is a massive subject that a lot of people just totally underestimate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. How did you feel then when you started to piece all this together? Because I know for a lot of people, even though obviously I explain everything at the beginning and I explain the steps that we're going to go through, sometimes it takes a little while for all the pieces to kind of fall into place or for them to really understand it properly. Yeah, when that happened for you, how did you feel?
I mean, I definitely had some ups and downs along the way. You know, I'll be putting out content, not getting a lot of traction, and then put out an offer post, and then all of a sudden, all right, a bunch of stuff's coming in. So I had these ups and downs where I was like, because it was new, I felt like, oh, this isn't working. I'm wasting my time. And then as soon as I did that, I would have a success. And so I'd have a win of some kind. And they would kind of put the win back into sales. And then the headwinds kind of go away. And then it's just all tailwind.
Yeah.
Because, oh, yeah, if you just keep going, you're going to have ups and downs, but you keep practicing it, you keep doing it, and you stay steady. Um, yeah, it might not be like at the beginning, especially, it's like a little bit like this, but it starts to smooth out and then just start being kind of a steady ride where you're having consistency of people calling and having consistent interactions, and you
Yeah.
build up that momentum of having like you always talk about like generating leads on a regular basis.
Hmm.
It's kind of fits and starts at the beginning, and then it does become consistent as you go, but it's not overnight. It takes work. You have to really stick to it.
Yeah.
So once I started sticking to it and feeling like, all right, now I've got traction and I've got all the pieces in place. Um, I just felt like now I'm just refining it and tweaking it a little bit to make it better and better and better and better.
Mm.
Um, and I feel like I am for the first time working on my business every single day, where I would just be doing client work And then I'd have a down point and be like, oh, maybe I should like try and do some marketing. And then be like, get nowhere because you do it for like a week or two, and then client work comes back and you're just on and off the marketing train.
Yeah. Oh dear. I
Now,
do that so
yeah,
much.
now the feeling is now like, oh, I just do this every day. Like
Yeah.
my business is top priority every single day.
Hmm.
And I still get all my client work done, and I book more calls, and I can actually balance all of it. And um, I'm just constantly listening to more and more like books about what I do about branding and design. I feel
Hmm.
like I'm just like in this constant state of ingesting knowledge um, about marketing, using the system that you've put me on, and just learning more about what I do to make my offer better, so that I can keep adding to it and make my business better. So
Yeah.
it
Amazing.
it's yeah, like a nonstop process now.
Yeah, amazing. Well done. You've definitely put in the hard work, and obviously you got the rewards to show. So well done. Yeah, absolutely. And it is like everything else in life. A lot of people do sometimes just think, when you said that you used to think, oh, I'll just do a bit of marketing here and there, but it's important to view it like part of your business, like you said, like a daily habit. And
Mhm.
it's a bit like, if you wanted to get results at the gym, you wouldn't just go once, you have to go consistently
Yeah.
to be, to be good, to get the results, to see what you want to see. You've got to be dedicated to it. So yeah, but you have been, and yeah, it's been brilliant. Well done. So at the moment, a lot of people that I talk to still have big misconceptions about courses and programs and business coaching and all that kind of stuff. So I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on of some of these things. So yeah, when we first met, did you feel, and you were started to do the work, did you feel like you already had to have like a big following, do like paid adverts, like send spammy messages? Like, did you have to do any of those things?
No, and no, it's funny. I've never wanted to do that. I work in a very people focused business. Like I don't work for like a tech company or a SaaS company. I work for people who do like food and beverage and hospitality. Excuse me. So that's very people focused. So spamming people, cold calling, and like cold emailing is just not an option. Like it's never been an option. You'll turn off my ideal client will be turned off by that so fast.
Yeah.
Um, so it just was not an option for me to do it, nor did I ever want to do it because it just felt icky to me anyway. Um, no, so I've never had to do that. It's all been very natural and organic, and putting out content every day that is actually valuable to people. It does come back. You talk about reciprocity a lot, and that's absolutely true. It comes back, and I don't feel like I have to guard my branding and design secrets. Like, why? Um, so putting all that stuff out there has made it all very natural and comfortable. And then once you start establishing that and reaching out to founders and CEOs and having conversations, the ice is already kind of broken. So everything just warms up and the conversations become much, much easier. Um, and you just kind of continue to have those conversations until you get to a point where you identify a problem they have, and you can get to telling them about what you can do to fix that problem. Um, so
Absolutely.
it's very, very natural. And you don't have to spend money on people who like promise like 10, 500 lead generation, blah, 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 because they're going to cold spam email a bunch of people for you. Um, there's like lots of those services, and they cost a lot of money, and there's no guarantee you're going to get anything good out of it.
Mm,
So this has been a lot more bang for the buck working with you, learning a skill rather
mm,
than paying somebody to just robocall a bunch of people for me,
yeah.
which is basically the other option. And wasn't appealing, and not all it is also not effective. So this is um, just a significantly better option.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So now that you kind of understand how to implement this, you are implementing it, and you are getting results, you are getting calls, and you're booking people in, which is great. So now you understand the foundations, like you're implementing everything. You've got your daily habits nailed and dialed in, booking people in regularly, which is great, and getting those calls done. So yeah, so do you feel like you're quite happy to carry on using that system for the rest of your business life? Like, have you got any concerns? Are you quite happy using it now?
No, it works really well. I'm in the habit of posting something pretty much every day. Some weeks it's like a little bit less, um, just because sometimes client work gets in there, but it's always on my list. I've got my schedule up actually right under my monitor here of stuff I need to do on a
Great.
weekly basis. Um, so continue to put that stuff out there is going to continue. I think the thing that'll probably keep improving is my offer as I read more about and learn more about the people I'm working with and what they need, and that evolves. Um, and reading more about how to best word that and position that, um, and get people kind of excited about it. So that how I present my offer will continue to evolve. But I think the system you taught me about posting every day, all the content framework stuff, all the authentic conversation stuff, um, that is just sort of the habit that I use now. I don't see that changing. It's just going to be what I do.
Mhm. Great. That's good to hear. Yeah, fantastic. And one last question then. So, what would you recommend to somebody that was thinking about doing this, but they're maybe just hesitant, like, or just scared to invest, or I don't know, they're just kind of wondering whether they should just go for it? What would you say to them?
Well, you've got a couple of options. You can hire like a robocall company that's going to probably make your ideal clients more angry than happy to hear from you. And you won't have any personal brand built up in the background,
Mm,
uh, and you won't be able to replicate that or keep it consistent. So you can go that route, which to me is a waste of money because it's also crazy expensive.
mm,
Or you could hire Helen and work with her and learn a skill that you can build upon and then train other people to use so you can expand it out so you can bring people in to keep doing this system and make it part of your business. And at some point, you can actually hand off the skills you've learned to somebody who does this specifically for you so you can do other things as well. And I think you can just build up a much stronger approach that's longer lasting and way more effective, um, by investing in yourself rather than just hiring some mercenary to go out there and try and find clients for you. Um, so it's just enriching for your own, you know, it's enriching for your business, it's enriching for your knowledge base, and it will keep you focused on your business in a way that you never have before. So there's no silver bullet. Like you have to do the work, but having Helen to kind of keep you accountable for all that work does build those habits, and she will train you to be very effective in those things. So it's money well spent. I've never invested anything in my business. It's the first time I've ever really put money back into my business, other than maybe like shooting photography for my website.
mhm.
Um, and it paid for itself with the first client I signed. So like it's worth it. Like if I get one client out of this, I'm happy. And so far I've gotten two in the first 2 months. So, I had a goal for a year and I'm gonna hit those goals. I can just see it. And so yeah, it's been one of the most valuable things I've ever done for my business.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Yeah,
Mhm.
thanks for your feedback because it's so important. It just helps people understand what it's like to work with me. So amazing. Thank you very much.
Sure, of course.
Take care.
See you later.